What's good? It's your boy CJ Goodfellow. We back with the boxing clinic. Y'all know what it is. Back on that boxing grind. Don't forget we got the podcast popping off. Did the Matisse and Kyron breakdown on the podcast as well as YouTube. So if you don't feel like you listening to the YouTube app and having to watch the screen, don't want to pay to watch listen to YouTube outside the screen, go ahead and hit the link, subscribe to the podcast every time I drop a podcast. You'll know. But we back, and shout out to the Boxing Truth channel. I'll leave his channel link in the description so you know this trill. He did a video about what if Kell Brook didn't fight Gennady Golovkin, would his career be different? Would an Errol Spence fight be different? That's what I'm going to get at right now about the Errol Spence fight. But, we back in this thing. And, would the Errol Spence fight been any different? And I'll get into that. And I'm going to start when Kell Brook was, how Kell Brook got to fight Golovkin is this. Kell Brook was in negotiations to face Saddam Ali. I believe Saddam Ali at the time held the welterweight WBO title. He could have unified two titles, but he wasn't happy with the money. I think the money, I don't know what the money was, but it was significantly lower than the 5 million he made with Golovkin. All right, at that time, obviously he was offered the Lamont Peterson fight around that time, I believe. He didn't want to go the Peterson route. The Vargas money wasn't good enough, and Vargas was willing to come to the UK. I guess they had to compensate Vargas a little bit more to come to the UK. And it took a little bit more money out of Kell Brook pocket. Also, the Miguel Cotto fight was rumored to be something that HBO wanted to entertain with Kell Brook. But Cotto, I think Cotto's team didn't want to fight him, whatever reason that may be. Maybe it was an issue over the weight. I think that might have been what it was. So all of nowhere, he signed a deal with Golovkin. He said the 5 million he believed could fight. And a lot of people on the thread were saying that was a horrible boxing decision by his handlers and his promoter, and I agree, it was terrible. But the fighter wanted this. Eddie Hearn let Kell Brook stray off the path with Errol Spence and Gennady Golovkin. And for some reason, I don't know why Kell Brook felt he needed to jump up to fight Gennady Golovkin. I don't know why. I know the money was a little bit better, but I mean, he would have made that money with Khan, and the fight would have been, would have still been there. I mean, he could have just waited his turn. He'd have been a unified champion. He would have been the guy with 2 belts. And him and Keith Thurman, we know now Keith Thurman would have got 2 belts. I mean, after that fight with Jesse Vargas, if he beat Jesse Vargas and get 2 belts, which potentially he could have made that little $4 or $5 million up easily fighting Danny Garcia if Garcia had the WBC belt, and he could have had Danny Garcia get in the ring with him. And I think Danny Garcia would have jumped at the opportunity to be hold 3 titles at welterweight. I really think he would have. Kell Brook, moved wrong. If he had got that title from Jesse Vargas, do you know how much power would be in Kell Brook's hands right now? Obviously he still would have had to fight Errol Spence. And I'll get into that in a minute, but he had 2 belts, man. He could have, did an exception, with the IBF and paid Errol Spence and made a fight with Danny Garcia, held 3 belts. Then he could have dropped the IBF and said, I don't want to defend that no more. Or then he could have moved up to 154 or that, and he would have really proved his worth at 147 pounds. Or he could have fought Keith Thurman and unified and got another exception and pay Errol Spence off again. I mean, the possibilities would have been great for Kell Brook. But he strayed off the path. He didn't look at it that way, and he made a mistake. He really did. He let the greed of money stray him off the path, which he would have had a great path. He'd have been a 2-time world champion at 47. He had 2 belts. He could have had an exception, fought Danny Garcia, and captured 3 belts, and could have fought Keith Thurman and unified this division for undisputed. And his body probably wouldn't have took as much physical damage as it did with the Gennady Golovkin fight. But with him, if Errol Spence fight be any different, I don't believe so. Even if he would have fought, he'd have got 2 championships versus Jesse Vargas, all right, and he fought Errol Spence next. I don't think that experience with Jesse Vargas, would have made him drastically any better. Probably a little bit more confident with the belt. But if you look at the fight, I mean, if people say, Kell Brook looked good in that fight, he was doing his thing, he was up. But if you look at the adjustments that Errol Spence made, Errol Spence was able to kill the body first before even the eye was injured. He murdered the body, And when Kell Brook tried to hold him on the inside, it's something that they worked on in the gym, him and his trainer, his coach, Derek James. He shot the shots under Kell Brook's arms. You watch it, and Kell Brook will hunch over and get his body killed trying to hold. He couldn't hold Errol Spence. And then him getting tired, that had nothing to do with Gennady Golovkin breaking his face at all. Him getting tired had nothing to do with it. Errol Spence is a workhorse. He gets stronger as the fight goes on. It's like a good running back. A great running back, you give him the more times you give him the ball, the stronger he gets. While the defense wears out, he gets stronger and eventually breaks off a big run. And that's what Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford is. They workhorse. They get stronger as the fight goes on. They make those adjustments. And he knew Kell Brook couldn't fight at a high pace, and he stepped the pace up just at the right time. And he stopped Kell Brook. It wasn't the much that Kell Brook was injured, even though that was the problem. But the pace was getting too high for Kell Brook. You could see the tide turning. His legs was leaving him. They had nothing to do with Golovkin. His body was getting murked, and it had nothing to do with Golovkin. And he was a stationary target no more. He no longer can move and box anymore. You know, his shots no longer had mustard. That had nothing to do with getting beat by Golovkin. But when Errol Spence took the attack up head and beat the head down and broke the eye socket, maybe so, but it was going to happen regardless. He was slowing down. He was a stationary target for a power punching, body punching punisher like Errol Spence. Even without the eye injury, the verdict was going to be Errol Spence the winner. So at the end of the day, I didn't take nothing away from Errol Spence. I picked Kell Brook, but at the end of the day, you know, that was his demise. That was his destiny to lose to Errol Spence. But also, he could have did some alternative things that could have prolonged that even more. You know, he could have fought Jesse Vargas and became undisputed champion. Okay, you made $1 or $2 million. Okay, you made that. Cool. You know, you fight Danny Garcia, you might can get $3 million. All right, you got 4 or 5 versus Golovkin. All right, you unify with Keith Thurman, you get another exception for Kell Brook. I mean, that's probably another $5 or $6 million. You make that money up in a long haul. He really would have made that money up fighting champions. You know, and could have, you know, unified and kept getting exceptions for Errol Spence. You know, or could have said, oh, I can't make the weight no more. I got to drop these belts. We'd have been a 2-time welterweight champion. 3 times you could squeeze a Danny Garcia fight in. 3 championship belts, and that would have put you on the fringe of being in the Hall of Fame. It still would have gave you more life. You would have been more vibrant at 154. But now he's talking about retirement because he knows his body is damaged. He knows he can't compete at the top level at 54. He's just buying his time for Amir Khan. But you see how one bad decision in boxing can turn it? And Eddie Hearn had another great commodity. Imagine if you had Anthony Joshua, undisputed champion, and 2 or 3-time champion, holding belts at one time in Kell Brook. I mean, this dude would be a beast, plus Danny Jacobs and Jarrell Big Baby Miller. But your boy Goodfella, we gone.